Hey everybody, my name is MetalMusicMan!
And I am Professor Lex.
And this is episode 57 of the Metal and Lex podcast. Pew pew! 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 It's fireworks now. I don't know why it's fireworks, but it is.
Yeah.
Welcome to a podcast where we talk about sometimes butts and sometimes things that aren't butts. That pretty much covers all the topics.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't forget the sadness. We haven't had a butts and sadness episode in a while, probably because I haven't had any. Yeah, probably because of COVID. That makes sense.
Heavy on the sadness, light on the butts.
Hey-oh. Anyway. Welcome. Today is a fairly, I don't know if I could say quite beautiful spring day, but it's pretty close. It was a little moist
when I got up this morning.
Yeah, the temperature's pretty good. It's a little moist, perhaps, but otherwise not bad. It might rain today, or it might not rain today.
It rained plenty yesterday and the day before, I think.
So mostly as we know, it can't rain again then.
Yeah, it rained out.
No, it won't. It is rained out. So sunny times. That's pretty cool. So, I don't know why the weather's part of our podcast now, but I think it's just because there is nice weather, perhaps, is the reason.
It's noteworthy. We've had a lot of weather that we couldn't possibly perceive because if you go outside, you'll get COVID.
Yeah.
The sun is a deadly laser.
The weather outside is weather. No, apparently, fucking the sun is a deadly COVID laser. Did you see all the shit where they were like, God damn, the Floridians might have been right?
What?
There was like a fucking, dude, there was like an article. And I feel like it was a reputable source, if memory serves, that was like,
I feel like
that was like outside in the sun with the heat, like all that shit people were saying like a year ago when you're like, there's no way that's a real thing. There's no way, like fucking Kenneth Copeland, this thing hates the sun. I call on a heat wave. COVID-19, you are banished forever.
You're talking about
you will never be back. Yeah, you really, COVID-19. I call on a historic heat wave. You know, all that.
I didn't recognize him by name when you said his name.
That's Kenneth Copeland. He has a private jet.
When you started doing the Kenneth Copeland impression, I was like, holy shit, that Nightmare Man.
It's that
I know him.
Yeah, that guy. So there was some I gotta find it now. I feel like I make sure I'm not insane, but I feel like I just read like a week or two ago some article that was like, scientists are like, God fucking damn, maybe the Floridians were right. Sun really does do some shit or something. COVID,
even if it's true.
Florida, no, I'm not even gonna look up. I'm not gonna look Florida. COVID, sun, light, beach, fucking words. This is literally what I Google. Does sunlight kill the coronavirus? That's from April 2020. I need to do a Google search to be like a month ago.
Where it was also April 2020?
No, 2 days ago.
Nah, just kidding.
2 days ago. Sunlight.
It still was April 20.
Yeah, I guess so. Sunlight linked with lower COVID-19 deaths. Study suggests blah, 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 blah. Increased exposure to sunlight has been linked to a lower risk of dying from COVID. And observational studies suggested people living in sunnier areas with the highest level of exposure to UVA rays are associated with fewer deaths from coronavirus compared to those with lower levels. Yeah, no, that's why I remember this, because this is from an English paper. And the thread on like Reddit that linked it or whatever was like, oh, so this explains why like London and England got so fucked by COVID, because it's always overcast.
That shit response.
Because it's always overcast. Study compared all recorded deaths from COVID-19 in the continental U.S. from January to April 2020 with UV levels for something in the U.S. around the same time period. So it's basically like a comparative, like areas with blah UV, and anyway, my point why I thought this was fucking hilarious is like, if you remember, like back in the early COVID days, all the fucking dumb Florida people were just like, fuck you, I'm gonna go to the beach. COVID can't survive survive in the sunlight, and we were just like, you're all insane, fucking
you're
what?
Going to die.
And apparently that might be a real thing.
It's not. Don't listen to Will. Stay inside. Don't go outside.
Okay, I'm not. No, come on. I feel like our listeners are smart enough. Our listeners are smart enough to know that I'm not actually endorsing giant beach parties.
God.
But then apparently, yeah, like sunnier shit it actually does make it harder to like transmit the virus. And and apparently it isn't as awful potentially. Which is, I'm not a scientist. Fucking go do your own research. But that's crazy to me. That's crazy.
What's the name of the activity where you're supposed to get superpowers if you suntan your gooch?
I remember seeing a thing. I don't know. I know what you're talking about though. Like it's just like people opening their legs up to the sun.
No, perennial sunning.
Perineal sunning.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
no.
So like if you told me that actually does help, I still wouldn't be out there with like one of those reflective 3-panel mirrors.
Just
trying to
get it up in that gooch, bro. Just get it up in there. Get it all up in that bitch.
I feel like I'm plenty tan. You know?
That's true.
I feel like I'm set. I feel like if I was gonna get superpowers from having tanned genitalia.
Well, but here's the question, Alex. How tan is your gooch? See?
I'm not gonna.
Alex, inquiring minds need to know about the relative tanness of your gooch.
I'm gonna say tan enough.
Tan enough.
Enough.
So for what? What is the for superpowers?
A man of my complexion.
It's tan enough. Okay. All right.
No tanner. Not any strangely unexpectedly white. It's the normal tan amount.
I feel like everybody's gooch is a little darker than other parts of their body, which is weird.
That's why I'm saying. It wouldn't be. Yeah.
Okay.
You know.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us more about your gooch, Alex. That's the new subject of this podcast. That's the new topic.
I'm always complaining about. I'm not always complaining. I've been complaining about how you always get to say all the fun stuff.
Yeah. Now here we are, where you have this wonderful opportunity to talk to us about your gooch, and you're just not taking it.
I'm withholding.
Yeah. What's up with that, man?
That's fucked up. It's too much responsibility to be the guy who talks about his gooch.
Do you think? Wait.
That end, I respect you, man.
Do you think that while we're on the subject of skin tone and gooches and superpowers, do you think that if it were true that you got superpowers from sun tanning your gooch, the perennial tanning or whatever we called it a second ago, we're going to call it gooching. If you were gooching, okay, do you think there would be a correlation between the melanin and the lack of sunburn to the superpowers? And if there was, which way would it go? I feel like if you had more melanin in your gooch, you might get less superpowers because you wouldn't tan your gooch as easily,
as much,
right? Yeah. Right. So anyway, this is why I'm joining the Nazi party. Wait. White people truly are superior.
Wait.
Because they literally have superpowers.
I prefer the interpretation that it starts off darker for us. So like you guys you gotta catch up.
Okay, you're already there. We already have. Let this be a lesson. Yeah. Let this be a lesson in spin, ladies and gentlemen. Gooch spinning. What a title.
No, God.
and then people are gonna read the title Gooch spinning, and they're gonna be like, spinning, is that like a new breakdance that I don't know about?
Yeah, it is the new breakdance.
That's where you do where you do the splits and you just fucking 360 around, baby. You just go. Gooch spinning is the new age, man. All the
new hotness.
Yeah, man. Oh God, I've really outdone myself with this one. So anyway, I wish you guys could see the exhaustion on Alex's face right now. His soul has left its body.
That's not entirely the perennial sunning I have or have not done.
Some of it is your eye death.
Yeah. Okay. So for those of you who've been listening to this podcast or know me in real life or whatever,
sure.
My right eye for the last year. Not an exaggeration. It started in February of last year.
God damn, I can't believe it's been an entire year.
Yep.
COVID and eye stuff.
Yep.
What an awful life you've led.
What a pair.
Yeah.
Every morning I rip the surface of my eye off.
Literally. He's not exaggerating. There's no hyperbole here.
The hyperbole is that it's every day. They eventually decided that that's a good way to go blind. So they put a contact lens over my eye. So now I can't rip the surface of my eye as easily. I can still do it. I have done it, but now instead of every day, it's like maybe like once a month or something. So anyway, that's been.
Why haven't they just given it up and done the surgery at this point?
I don't know.
Like, do we need to like get like a fucking GoFundMe for you to like fucking
let me start a GoFundMe
to go to like some weird country for like $1 billion and get like an under the table Gooch operation. I mean, eye surgery.
Wait.
Is that what needs to happen? It just seems like a year has been long enough for them to be like, all right,
too long.
Let's do the laser surgery thing.
I've got to talk to several doctors. So this morning I woke up and it felt like I had like an eyelash or something in my left eye. Importantly, my left, not my right.
Not the bad eye.
Correct. Well, and then we took the dogs around the block. Yeah, you're we're uncovering the lead. So we took the dogs around the block. I came back and I was like, but damn, if my eye doesn't hurt. And then suddenly I couldn't open it or open my other eye.
Alex, no.
Mm-hmm, yep.
No.
It's a genetic epithelial basement membrane dystrophy is the
It's
name.
in both eyes now?
It's in both eyes. It's always been in both eyes, but it wasn't a problem in my left eye.
Alex, when are we sending you to Guam to get an under the table double eye-ectomy? Seriously. Hashtag Alex's eye gooch.
Save the eyes.
Save Alex's eye gooch. Hashtag think of the children or something.
So I had to go to the doctor. Clarkson is the nearest eye doctor who can do they put a really low power, low magnification contact lens in. That's what the bandage lens is.
Magnification in terms of magnifying your vision, not in terms of being
Correct.
magnetic for a reason that would have greatly confused me. Okay.
No.
Okay.
It's the worst. It's not heat vision. It's not X-ray vision. It's magnet vision.
You're like, what's your superpower? I have magnetized. Oh man, so you can like control metal or something? No, like if I walk too close to metal, my eyes start to bulge. They start to bulge out of my head. Oh man, so what is that? Like, could it rip your eyes out? No, it's just slightly uncomfortable. Like,
I don't like it.
You actually would be the perfect person to play that character. Like you just yourself. Like, have you seen like Dr. Horrible's sing along blog and they have all the shitty sidekicks with shitty superpowers? You would be there with Moist, you'd be magnetized, and it would just be you. It wouldn't even be a character. You'd be like, hey, I'm Alex. No, it's just like a little uncomfortable sometimes. And like I have to watch if I get too close to a refrigerator. Like that's
I have to wear plastic frames.
Yeah. Oh my god. That is the perfect character for you. So please, when you pursue acting at some point in your life,
yes, yeah,
look for that role.
Put Lex in the Dr. Horrible sing along blog first. It's a really long hashtag. It needs some workshopping.
Just hashtag Alex Gooch? I think that would cover. I don't
know that's going to convey necessarily the right meaning to the masses.
I think people would understand. Yeah. See, that's your problem. You don't know. Gooch sells, Alex. It sells. You can,
as they always say.
You want to be a star, don't you? And then gooch it off.
So we called the doctor. I couldn't drive. Jen had to drive me to the eye place. And he was like, hey, how's it going? And I was like, doing great. How are you? And he's like, probably better than you. Let's see that eye. And he puts this yellow numbing drop / dye DYE in my eye and shines a blue laser not a laser, a blue light into my eye to see where all the cracks and crevices are. And he's like, yeah, damn, you got this big like fucking triangle on the surface of your eye. How long has this been bothering you? And I was like, well, I got a weird blurry double vision in a single eye the other day. And he's like, yeah, that lines up. Anyway, let's pop those babies back in so that I can get to my brisket. And I was like, you're what? And he's like, yeah, it's my son's birthday. Are you guys vaccinated? And I was like, what? And he's like, yeah, we're gonna have my kids' grandparents over, all the vaccinated ones at least, for a barbecue because I'm making a brisket. And his phone goes off and he's like, yep, time to take the brisket out. And I was like, are you passive aggressively telling me that you want to cook food? Because I would rather you do that, but I need you for a minute.
Is he in? Was he inviting you?
No.
Why did he ask if you were vaccinated? Yeah. Is he inviting you to the brisket party? Who is this guy? I think you might have got invited to a brisket party, Alex.
I like Dr. Tubbs. He's been great.
His name is Dr. Tubbs, and he makes brisket.
And he makes brisket. He said, it's no salt and smoke, but it's good. And I was like, dude, I have absolute faith in you. What's he inviting?
I think you might have got invited to a brisket party and you might have turned it down. Damn. Why else would he be like, I'm having a brisket party, comma, are you vaccinated?
You got a point. He brought up the brisket party multiple times.
I think you were invited to a brisket party, dude.
Huh.
Shit.
Well,
you're missing out.
Tubbs, if you're out there listening, I'm sorry I misinterpreted your signals.
Yeah.
I would eat brisket. I like brisket. Anyway, so now I've got contact lenses in both eyes so that it's harder for me to rip the surface of my eyes.
Alex, so what is the fucking timeline now with these contacts?
I don't know.
I feel like you need to like can't you just have Jen be a Karen for you about your eyes and just be like, look, motherfuckers, we want some lasers and we want them now. It's been a year. I want to talk to your Gooch manager and I want to get him down here right now and I want a discount. And I want a free coupon.
Discount on the laser.
Like, I don't know. It's fucking crazy to me that it's been a year and they're still just like, I don't know, let's keep trying this shit instead of doing weird surgery.
The shit that doesn't work, that we know doesn't work because it hasn't worked.
I think Dr. Tubbs is, he's fucking dicking you around, bro.
No. Dr. Tubbs is not the guy who's been dicking me around.
Okay.
Dr. Birdie has been dicking me around.
Dr. Birdie. Well,
yeah, Dr. Birdie works out in De Pere.
Does, like when you try to get to Dr. Birdie, does he like kind of like hide off in the corner and shoot eggs out of his mouth at you to make it more difficult to reach him?
No, you're thinking of Dr. Bordeaux.
Oh, okay. Excuse me. These are such awful jokes. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, you're just waiting. You're waiting on the eye shit.
Yeah. They're gonna laser both of my eyes almost at once is what I think is going to happen. They're going to shoot lasers into both of my eyes, and then I'll be blind for 7 to 10 days.
No.
More or less, yeah.
How blind? Like blackness blind? Blurriness?
Blurry, like someone put several sheets of alternating cotton and saran wrap over your eye.
So
not that they actually do that, but that's
maybe you can see like light differences, and maybe some vague blur color. Mm-hmm. But for 7 to 10 days?
Yep.
Dude.
Jen doesn't cook. I'll be fucking.
Oh, she's just gonna Grubhub you McDonald's. Juice. Nah, just Grubhub that McDonald's. Dude, that's fucking wild.
Yep. And then it takes.
Does that mean we're gonna do a podcast with you blind?
At least one, depending on when we do it.
I mean, unless you need to skip it because you're fucking blinded. You could take a sick day. We could miss 1 week if you needed to, just to make sure that's out there.
Nah, man, the people have to know. I'll be out here in the field reporting.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah. And then it takes like up to 6 months for my vision to fully come back. And then I can get new glasses.
I am so glad that I do not have whatever genes you have that cause that shit. God damn, dude. Ugh. I'm over here fucking complaining about adult acne. Fucking.
No, adult acne is a real problem.
Fucking slightly dry skin, and you're just like. I might. You're like, every time I walk by a refrigerator, my eyes bulge. It's awful. I'm like, damn, I'm glad I don't have to deal with any of that shit. Well, anyway, our actual topic for today is me ranting about Star Trek for the millionth time, but more specifically about the Lower Decks, which I watched. And I can't remember if you asked me this on the podcast. It was, if I was going to watch it.
Yep.
Okay. So
wait, you got to set the stage. You got to tell people about your state of mind before you were.
Oh, I'm going. Wait. Okay. Oh, yeah. So okay. Mm-hmm. So the way I watched this show was because I was dying of COVID vaccination side effects. So I got my vaccine. I don't know, fucking
part 2.
Yeah, part 2 at whatever point. Moderna for anybody who cares, but I've heard
Moderna
people.
Gang.
Apologize for all the throat clearing today. I think it's extra allergy season again. But all the people I've talked to that have had side effects, to me there has been no consistency. I've talked to people with like each vaccine that have and have not had side effects. So I feel like it's just a fucking crapshoot. I don't know. But basically I got my shot and it was like 11 or 12 hours later at like maybe 10 or 11 p.m. when I was going to bed. I was like, oh, I kind of have a slight headache. That's weird. And then I woke up again at like 1 a.m. and I was like, oh man, I really have to like take a fucking dump. I got up and I took a dump, and it was a really long dump because I had eaten like a bunch of weird pizza or something. And the dump took long enough for me to like wake up and realize that I was freezing my ass off. So I'm just like on the fucking toilet, just shivering, like, like, you know, it's awful. Like fucking,
like you do.
Yeah. It was awful. So I finally like finished my poop. And I like put a shirt on, I get like all my winter blankets out, and I just like freeze to death. And then like I just basically flip-flop between like freezing my ass off and being so hot that I could hardly stand it, having like full body aches, which I've never had before, and having like a very bad headache.
Jeff described it as his skeleton feeling too big for his body.
I've never experienced body aches before in my life. I don't think I've ever had them. And it was very, very strange to just have like, everything be generally sore. The weirdest one to me is like, I drank like a bunch of water because that's supposed to be a good thing to do. And so sometimes I would wake up in the middle of the night and I have to pee really bad. And sometimes when you have to pee super bad because you've been asleep, it like kind of hurts. Like your bladder's been like holding it while you've been asleep. Like if you were awake, you would have peed sooner, you know, but you're asleep. So your body's like, I love my favorite thing. My favorite thing is when your body is like, oh my God, there's so much pee gonna come out. We can't hold it in anymore. How do we stop it? And your brain's like, give him a boner. That'll prevent him from peeing. Like, yeah. So it's like, that's like my favorite weird trick that your body does. Where like, I mean, sometimes you wake up with a boner anyway. That's like pretty normal. But like, there are other times where like, I can tell it's literally just to prevent the peeing. Like that's the only reason.
We had to do something. Yeah. Nothing else was working.
So then you wake up with like a very strange boner where you're, but like, and you can always tell the difference because if you wake up with a boner and you have to pee, but it was like a legitimate, if it's a legitimate boner, the body has ways to sort that whole thing out. To shut that whole thing down.
Shout out to Scott Aiken. Or Todd Aiken. I forgot your name. You suck.
Continue. That's a fucking women's bodily rights joke from fucking 4 years ago or some shit. Anyway, is it more? Oh my God.
You keep talking. I'll tell you.
Okay, you'll Google it. So anyway, yeah, you get up and you go pee, and the boner just goes away right away. It's like it's not even the stubborn kind where you're like, I really want to pee, but this boner won't go away. It's like you get up to pee and it just goes away immediately. Like that was the floodgate boner. That's why that one was there. Thanks biology. Thanks human body. God, what do women do? They can't put on the boner floodgate. What do they? What does their body do? That's wild.
Suffers?
I guess they suffer.
Just assume that.
Well, but you know they've got the cheat mode, dude. Have you ever listened to a woman pee? I love that it sounds like I'm like like I'm like in a bath, like a public restroom with like a fucking recording device. No, but like for people who have
9 years ago.
9 years ago
for legitimate rape.
For people who have either partners or have dated someone and you know you're sexing and they go pee or whatever and they're nearby. Women pee is like a fucking shotgun. Like I feel like biologically it's like a totally different. Like when a dude pees, it's like you've got like a balloon. You've got a balloon. It's like a water gun, and you poke a hole, and it kind of comes out in a stream. But like, whenever a chick has to pee really bad, it's just like all the piss just fucking. I'm actually really envious of that. Like honestly, it seems so much more efficient. Like it's like they have like a separate valve that we don't. That just it just opens up the fucking.
You know what the problem is? Will? You have a thin urethra.
I mean, we know I have a strong urethra. We went over that. Last time.
It's too swole.
It's too swole, baby. But no, like I feel like you cannot like I don't know what the volume shakes down to be, but if I had to guess, if there was like a really long pee, like sometimes you take a really long pee as a dude, and it takes like a minute or some shit.
No, plural minutes.
Or Plural? Yeah, maybe. Yeah,
I feel
like a woman could take that exact same pee volume in like 20 seconds or less. Just do me a favor, Alex. You're looking at me like you think I'm crazy.
No.
You clearly haven't listened to Jin pee, so I'm gonna need you to call her in here, and I'm gonna need you to just ask her about the pee shotgun. She might not know, but I think she will.
Probably wouldn't.
I think she will. Women pee hard, man. Women pee so hard. They pee so hard. Like, it's like insane how much harder they can pee than a guy. It's not even close. We're gonna have a hard pee off against all the women and all the men, and it's gonna be like everyone's gonna be the one. You know, like it's just not even gonna be close.
Everyone's gonna be what? The winner? Everyone's gonna be the winner.
Every winner's gonna be the women. Is what? Every winner, like every like they're like however many top 100 or whatever hardest peers. It's all women. There's not even gonna be that one guy who's like an outlier. There's no way.
Is it like tennis where they have to separate them into two different circuits?
Yeah, dude, there's no way. There's no way men can compete.
The number one male pisser.
Yeah, the number one male peer he's not even in the top 1,000 of hard women peers, dude. Not even in the top 1,000. Probably not even in the top 10,000. It's a huge disparity.
A lot of women.
It is a huge disparity. I'm telling you, man. Anyway,
is this the glass urinal? Like the glass ceiling?
Yeah.
Also, I would never use a glass urinal. People in glass
kidney
stones.
Urinals shouldn't pass kidney stones. Sure. So anyway, what the fuck was I talking about? I got to go pee. So I swear this leads into Star Trek. So I had to go pee, and I got up and peed. And I was cold and it was awful. And, So then I peed it all out. And later I woke up again and I thought I had to pee because I had the pee pain. Because I was saying, like, you have the pee pains when you hold it in too long, right? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And it was like I had the pain sensation in my bladder, in my like lower abdomen. Mm-hmm. I had the pain pee sensation, but I didn't actually have to pee. It was just part of the pains. And so I had like phantom pee, phantom poop pains the entire day, the entire time. It was just like a constant, like, you ever feel like you really have to fart and then like you're like doing everything you can do. You're like rolling on your side. You're like trying to spread your fucking butt cheek open. You're trying to wiggle. And it just never comes. It just never happens. It was like the entire, it was just like the weirdest body pains and then like weird gastro pains, which are probably part of the body pains. I don't know. It was super weird. Super fucking weird day.
I think your gastrointestinal system's in your body.
I think it is. So then I basically just drifted between being awake, being asleep, being awake, being asleep. I took the entire day off work and I binged The Lower Decks in Star Trek. Star Trek The Lower Decks. Because, okay, so here's the thing. I had been putting off watching this because as you said, we had briefly talked about it on another podcast. It looks like a fucking abomination. It looks like a goddamn abomination.
It's the Rick and Morty animation, which works for Rick and Morty because Rick and Morty is.
I like Rick and Morty a lot.
Take itself seriously.
I think it's good. Well, and it's not that. It doesn't take itself seriously, but it has. I'm not saying you can't have serious shit with animation like that, but it's just it just doesn't. It doesn't seem
tonally. It doesn't match with your perception.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to match exactly. So okay, I'm gonna talk about. I'm going to talk about Picard really quick, and I'm going to avoid spoilers here for the most part. And I'm just going to tell you...
Picard the show, not Picard the individual.
Correct. The show Star Trek : Picard. Yeah. Star Trek : Picard. So it could have been like so good and cool, and it just ended up mostly being bad, but it had really good things in it too. I would say the biggest thing that relates to this topic is that Star Trek Picard is basically not a Star Trek show. It is a show about characters who were in Star Trek, but it is not.
But it's not a Star Trek.
It is not a Star Trek show at all. Okay. It does not remotely follow the same
beats formula.
Yes, all that. It does not remotely follow that. It is about the characters. I'm not saying it doesn't like belong in the universe. I mean, I could probably go down a whole thing about whether it does or not. I'm gonna try and skip that, but like, regardless of what it is, it's more like the movies, where it's like the movies are cool stories about characters from Star Trek, but they don't, like you said, they don't follow those same beats like the shows do at all. Like not even like most of them are not even remotely similar. So that's how Picard is. And one of the big problems with Picard is that it just has like really shitty, stupid shit in it. Like there's a bad guy character who like there's all these opportunities for if it were like real Star Trek for it to be like, oh, here's like an example of like the bad guy's psyche and you can like relate to them and it's going to make you like confused about what is right or wrong and the moral quandaries and you know, and like all the morality plays. And instead they're just like, bad guy is bad. Bad guy sure is evil. Better kill the bad guy or they'll do more evil things. And then like every opportunity they have to be like, here is some nuance or depth, they're just like, no, I'm bad. I'm a bad guy. And you're just like, God damn it. This is so awful. So those are the ways Picard is bad. I was expecting Lower Decks to be similarly bad where it like wouldn't be a Star Trek
formula, irreverent.
Doesn't follow it, fucking just has bad shitty writing, basically just non-Star Trek and a Star Trek IP with like vaguely related things that are shit. And I have to say on the positive side, not only is it actually way more of a Star Trek show than like Star Trek Picard, it is clearly written by a person, the show creator, Mikeson or something. Matt Maverson, Maven Maverson, some kind of double M name. I don't remember. Mackerson. He clearly is like a Star Trek fan, and
that's important. I think that's almost the most important thing.
Yeah, no, he clearly knows his fucking shit because one of the coolest things about this show, even though the character animation, I don't like the style of, everybody looks really similar and they all have like the same like weird zany expressions. I'm not a big fan of that. It's not as bad as I thought, but I'm still not like really down with it. But the sets, the ships, the rooms on the ships, the fucking like the technology, the screens, it is all so like perfectly to a T the TNG DS9 Voyager era of Trek. And that's really fucking cool because it's a cartoon, which means that like the fidelity of everything is really high because it's newly made and there isn't like that discrepancy between like the technology and the real actors. It all like meshes. And so in some weird ways, it's almost like the best, most cohesive, immersive version of like Star Trek fantasy because whenever they have like a weird alien or crazy lasers, there is like no split between like the actors and the normal sets and what's going on, right? Because it's like a cartoon.
You don't have to suspend disbelief.
Yeah, it all just looks, yeah. So in that way, it's almost like really good. And they're, like I said, they're super faithful to, like, instead of making like a new, and this is one of the ways like bringing up Star Trek Picard is important because in Star Trek Picard, all the fucking technology is like different. And I'm not saying it's like that the fact that they added anything new because it's like fucking 30 years later or whatever, you expect things to be new and different, but it's just totally, completely different. Like there is no like attempt to make the technology look like it did in the original shows in Star Trek Picard. They're just like, here's a bunch of cool, weird beaming lights and fucking Tom fucking Cruise Minority Report
future.
Minority Report finger gun moving 3D shit and laser beams and fucking everything. And it's just like, it doesn't even look like the same thing. But in Lower Decks, it looks the same. Like it's newer, it's cooler, but it's like you can tell they've like designed it to look like the technology from the original series things that had it. And
which lends a lot of authenticity to it.
Yeah.
Credibility,
and that's really cool. And so we're going to counterpoint into something that's like more negative because that's like the way this whole show is it's like so much better than I thought in so many ways. And then exactly as fucking horrible and awful as I thought it would be in other ways. So like.
But not worse?
Not worse than Picard?
Than you thought.
I would say if I'm giving it a quick overview, it is at worst about what I thought it would be, but on average is actually better than I expected.
Damn,
which is a pleasant surprise. Those. Yeah, pleasant surprise. So I'm diving in. We're not done yet. We're going to keep going.
Okay.
So
no, you're good.
Okay. So one of the first indications of it is like when you immediately watch, actually there's nothing better as an example of how this show is fantastic and shitty than the opening sequence. So every Star Trek has its own like cool opening sequence, and they have like their own like weird little theme song, and it shows like the ship, and it shows the like outer space shots, and the ship's going through adventures and things are happening, and so like the TNG one is like Picard's voice. He's like, space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the side, blah blah blah. And he talks about it, and then it's like, and it's like the ship's zooming around, and there's fucking comets and shit, and it's like very epic, and it's so cool and good. So this one has like a very similar intro. It like sounds kind of vaguely similar, but it doesn't like copy it. It's just like similar tones, and then it plays like a cool theme, and it's showing the ship going through space, but then like it starts with the ship in front of a black hole, and the black hole, like I was saying before, with the lack of need for suspension of disbelief, like you were saying, the black hole looks really cool and realistic, and the ship's in front of it, and you're like, wow, that's really, really fucking cool. The ship looks really cool, like the exterior of all the ships, and the way they fly and zoom, and the way like the effects of it's just like the original TNG era stuff, but like just in animation, and it looks fucking great. And then the ship gets like sucked back into the black hole, and you're like, oh, that's kind of weird. And then it like disappears and it comes forward, and you're like, oh, cool. I thought for a second the ship was just full of idiots and they didn't know how to pilot it, and they got sucked into the black hole. But actually, I guess they were slingshotting off to use the black hole as like a thing. That's neat. And then the next shot is like them in front of like an ice comet storm thing, and they're slowly drifting by like space icebergs. And I'm like, oh, that's a really neat, pretty looking shot. And then the ship like veers off slightly and dings into an iceberg. And I'm like, oh no, they really are dumb, aren't they? And then like the next shot is like fucking them doing something else in space. And then the ship like fucking, like they go to a Borg fight, and there's all these really fucking well drawn animated Borg cubes and all these other spaceships. And there's like Romulan warbirds, and you're like, oh, cool. They're doing a Borg fight. And then the ship just like gets fired at one time with one laser and then abandons everyone and flies away. That's Star Trek. You just fucking leave. So I'm like, so it's got all this like really well done, good, cool shit, and then it's just like, and this goes back into the show where it's just like everyone on the ship is a moron. Everyone on the ship is a coward. We have no morals. We are stupid. Do. And you're like, wait, what? No, this isn't right. And like the worst one is like their captain. There's all these scenes where they have like a situation occurs, and the captain's like, I need ideas for this situation, which is normal. You're like, okay, cool. This is Star Trek.
That's following the formula. Yeah.
They're going to ask because the captain trusts the crew and all that, you know? And then someone on the crew will be like, what if we cover everything in peanut butter and jelly? And you're just like, haha, I guess that's comedy. Fine. It's fucking stupid, but I guess that's their comedy. We'll go on. And then someone's like, Captain, what if we fucking reconfigured the Bazortal array and did a thing, and then that would help? And then the captain goes, absolutely not. And then I'm like, okay, well we're still on par. The captain's taking ideas. And then the captain goes, instead, we need to reconfigure the Bazortal array and basically do the exact same thing that you just said. And then they all go, excellent idea, Captain. And the captain's like, that was an excellent idea. And then you're like, oh, so the captain is just like a narcissistic fucking piece of shit who can't fucking take any ideas or criticism from anyone, right? And you're like, maybe that only happened the one time. And then that's like a recurring beat where the captain is just like a piece of garbage to the fucking crew and basically fucking doesn't give a shit about anybody and just wants
Steals
to...
their ideas.
Yeah! And I'm just like, no, this is awful.
Okay, but it's not Picard, right? The captain isn't Picard.
Well, no, but there have been plenty of other captains who would... The main captain is never a fucking piece of shit like that. It's stupid. And they try to like redeem it a little bit where she like, the captain has like other beats where it's just a near miss. I feel like they could have made some jokes at that expense had they established that she was not a buffoon, moron, worthless piece of shit, but they did. I would say it's very similar to, I hadn't thought of this until right this second. I would say if you have seen Parks and Rec, this season seems very similar to season 1 of Parks and Rec, where I almost never watched the show because it was so awful. Because fucking Amy Poehler's character is so intolerably stupid and awful, has no redeeming qualities, and it's just a factor of the way they wrote the show and the character, it was just like, I'm not interested in watching a show about this fucking blundering idiot. But they turned it around. They changed some things, a little bit of the tone. And by the end of season 2, Parks and Rec is one of my favorite shows. And they made the character still have some of those qualities where she is like a little bit of a dingus, but that she has more merit to her. And that makes the dingus elements more endearing instead of just being frustrating and annoying.
Yeah,
okay?
So it's they make her less dumb and more naive. She's got her moral standards and stuff, and that's why we still empathize and sympathize.
And they make her a more relatable character, and I feel like that's a lot of what this show fucks up on, is that there are like these characters who are just too stupid and too zany and awful to be relatable in any way, and that kind of like really ruins. It's hard to watch it and not feel a bit offended by some of it because it is so awful and bad. But there are also a lot of areas where it does actually do pretty well. And I'm not talking about just making fun of Star Trek, because it actually does an excellent job of making fun of Star Trek. And that's actually one of the things that's the most fun about the show, is that it's clearly written by someone who gets Star Trek, and the jokes that they make are very good, like Star Trek in jokes, you know? Mm-hmm. But that's also why it's so frustrating that someone who clearly knows the source material so well would
this is a guy who loves it as much as
would fuck it up as bad as he does in some of the ways that he fucks it up. Yeah. So now I'm just going to be positive about one element. And this is actually, I think, the coolest element of the show and the most Star Trek element at the same time. This is the thing I think perhaps the show does the best, and that is that the main character of the show, she is an ensign, which is the lowest officer rank. You're basically not an officer. You're like you're slightly above an enlisted person, and that's it. You're like the lowest officerial rank, basically. You have command over, you're technically a command position. You have command over everyone else who does not have command credentials, but that's it. And you answer to everyone else above that. And she doesn't want to be promoted. She wants to be an ensign because she's like, I like being an ensign. I get to do cool things. And I don't want to fuck with all this command bullshit. And I think that's really cool because there is an awful lot of focus to like climbing the ranks and all of that in all the other Star Trek episodes, on all the other Star Trek shows. And mostly it's in a positive light, but at the same time, it's kind of like, you know, they're constantly encouraging you to be this career climber or whatever. And it's like, at the end of the day, like if you want to be the best fucking, you know, plumber you can be, that is commendable. And that should be something like that, you know, right? Like you want to be good at this job or whatever. And like, and that's basically her plot, is like, she is a badass. She is really good at a lot of things, but she just doesn't want to pursue command.
To be a
she thinks she can make like more of a difference and be more impactful. And she just has more fun doing that. And I think it does a fucking really good job of conveying that through that character. It's just unfortunate that the other way they try to convey that is by making every fucking person who's an officer a fucking incompetent douchebag moron who like just can't do anything other than take credit for everything or whatever. And that's the part of it that sucks. So it's got a lot of like back and forth, good, bad shit. There are definitely some cool, good little like moral things in it that I actually really quite like. And then there are some that just don't hit. So I feel like it just tries really hard to make fun of things to a degree that it doesn't need to. And it kind of like tarnishes what it could be. But I'm actually pretty excited for the second season of it because they're bringing in some new arcs. And I really think it might be that it just stagnates. It might even get worse. But I think if they change some of the tone a bit, it actually could be really good. And it could actually be... Okay, I think this actually could be the first legitimate new like entry to Star Trek since that era. Where it like...
Since like Voyager Deep Space Nine.
Yeah. Like I think if they do it right, it could actually be like a show that I would lump into like a fourth show into that. But they could also completely fuck it and like just go the opposite direction. But the potential is there, and it's the whim of the creator. Yeah, exactly. The potential's there. It's really good, and like, and some of the zany humor is really fun too. Like, it's not like I just look at anything zany and be like, you can't do this. Oh, sorry. And that's the other thing I need to talk about. And this is where I'm like, I don't know how I feel about the prospects of this, because I watched this like podcast Zoom session with the creator and some of the it was like one or two of the writers, and then like some other old Star Trek people like Brent Spiner and Jonathan Frakes, and then like Will Wheaton was like the panel interview guy, and they all talked about like this show and other shows, and there were things that they said that were real. Like one of the things, okay, so like throw him a bone at first. He was just like, well, you know how it is whenever you make a new Star Trek, everyone just inherently loves it and thinks it's great. And I'm like, okay, that's fair. Like fucking Star Trek fans are like really harsh, obviously. But so like, sure, that's fine. But then one of the other things he said that fucking pissed me off and makes me think they might not get it is they're like, well, you know, people have so much problem with this show because it's a comedy and like they don't understand. It's like Star Trek is comedy. There's so much comedy in Star Trek. And I'm like, that is using a truth to tell a lie. Because there is a lot of comedy in Star Trek. There always has been a lot of comedy in Star Trek. And if you think that there isn't comedy in Star Trek or it doesn't have a place, you are a douchebag. However, that's fucking a bullshit lie because no one has a problem with this show being funny. They have a problem with the tone being wrong. That's the problem. So it's the tone of the comedy and the way it's presented that is sometimes hit and sometimes a huge miss. And I think it's like a fucking bold-faced lie to try and act like, oh, everyone just hates us because we're a comedy show. No, fuck you. Own your shit. Your tone is shit, and you fuck shit up sometimes. That's why people don't like it. And that is detestable when it does what I'm talking about. It is very like watching the captain just be like, brr, 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 brr. Like, it's just like, no, fuck, what are you doing? Fuck you. How did this lady get to be a captain? It's awful.
Well, I mean, consider, I haven't seen the show, so I clearly don't know what I'm talking about, but consider that the main character you said is an ensign, right?
Yep.
And ostensibly the show is almost from her perspective.
Yeah, it succeeds and does not in that regard.
So from an ensign who is good at her job, who has no interest in making big career moves because those things don't appeal to them, would it not be unreasonable for her to perceive command as idiots who just take credit for the people underneath them?
So yes, but the problem is that is not what it is. They are definitively morons.
That's what
a
I'm
lot
saying.
Of the time.
I understand they are, and that's why she perceives them as such.
Yeah. No. Wait a minute.
No. They are. I'm not saying that they're lying to you.
No, the show does not show it. I think if the show only showed some of that from her perspective, and that was the angle it took, it would be a lot more palatable, but that's not what it does.
That's not the argument that I'm making. I'm saying that obviously it's easy for you to say that from her perspective. It's easy for me to say that from her perspective. The people above her are idiots, career climbers who don't care about anything, and certainly not the people underneath them. But it could be that the writers deliberately chose to portray them as...
It doesn't come off that way.
Idiots. I would be interested in the second season if they go to lengths to humanize the characters that you're calling blundering idiots.
If they did, it would make a big difference. And they have 1 or 2 episodes. There's like 10 episodes of it. They have 1 or 2 where they do a little bit of what you're saying. There's one where the second in command guy, he's like a smarmy douchebag, and there's this really cool episode. It maybe is the best episode. It maybe is the best episode of the series where he like does some command decision shit, and she like ends up respecting him.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, yeah, that's pretty cool. But I don't feel like the overall show did a good job of like making that be the message. It was more of like that was the minor, less likely. So if they do though, yeah, if they go more in that direction in season 2, like I think this could actually be like a really fucking cool, good show.
I suspect that if they're listening to the people who had such a problem, I don't think that they're going to compromise on the slapstick, and I don't think that they're going to compromise on the weird humor in the show. I do suspect that they would be more inclined, if they're trying to appeal to fans of the universe, fans of the IP, I would expect them to try to humanize the characters so that you get more of the impression that like they are idiots, but we understand that like everyone's human. And that's why it's okay that they're idiots.
It just needs to drift a bit more into like a direction of people being like more competent.
Yeah. Okay.
Like, yeah, because the weird, wacky slapstick stuff is really not that problematic. There's actually some of it that was pretty funny and good. Like, I mean, I don't mind slapstick at all. And like, I think being in a cartoon format, it certainly like lends itself to being, you know, that's more likely. It's just like they need to make the characters less like narcissistic morons than they are. And I think if they do that, it'll be good. So anyway, if you're thinking about watching Star Trek Lower Decks, I would give it an end rating of, at the end of the day, I would say pleasant surprise more than anything.
And room for potential or whatever, right?
Yeah, if they double down, I will be frustrated and not watch it probably, because it was borderline. A couple of the episodes were kind of borderline, and some of the episodes were actually pretty good. So it's like, which is also in line with Star Trek. I mean, let's be honest. You know, the disparity of the episode quality is certainly a hallmark of the series. So, but yeah, I don't know. I wanted to talk about that because I know we talked about quite a bit of Star Trek on this podcast, and that's one that like I definitely had just completely written off, and I was, like I said, pleasantly surprised to not totally write it off.
Not to be angry.
Yeah.
Well, as angry.
I would say I enjoyed it at the end of the day more than anything.
Good.
That's not bad. That's not bad at all. That's not bad. So. Anyway, that was my topic. I don't know if you have any follow-ups. But...
No, I had the eye thing. That was my. Okay. I peaked. Yeah.
Well, I suppose this has been a podcast. We're coming up right on an hour, so that's pretty perfect.
Oh, well, that's in line for the usual.
I have been a man of metal music.
And I've been a professor of Lex.
Yeah, we will get you guys next time.
Bye.